Good morning, my friends. How are you? I am just having a ball here this morning. It's Sunday morning. Did some reading. I'll show you what I'm reading now. I'm finishing up this book called Confessions of a Megachurch Pastor: How I Discovered the Hidden Treasures of the Catholic Church. Interesting. I appreciate his perspective. It's interesting. And then I'm going to be finishing, obviously, H.G. Wells' The Time Machine. God, I've had this for years, and this book is falling apart. But I'm having a good time with that. I was talking with Clearview, and she's reading Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. And, of course, Ray Bradbury not only has written Fahrenheit 451, but The Illustrated Man, The Martian Chronicles. And when you look at his influences, H.G. Wells, Edgar Allan Poe, Edgar Rice Burroughs, fantastic. But when you hear, what's interesting, when you hear Ray Bradbury talk about Edgar Rice Burroughs, who I've never read. Oh, he was also influenced by Jules Verne as well. But when he talks about Edgar Rice Burroughs, it makes me want to read him. I have never read anything from Edgar Rice Burroughs. Have you? So maybe this fall I'm going to dive into something by him. What would you say is his best work? Let me know. Well, anyways, I have just taken to this tobacco called Edward G. Robinson Blend. I got this from Old Carolina Pipe Cottage, and I'm just having a ball with it. You know, I have a tin of I bought probably 4 ounces, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, of Lane 1Q, and every time I try it, I just taste chemicals. I just can't. It just tastes like chemicals to me. That's how it comes across on my palate. This aromatic here, this Edward G. Robinson Blend, as pleasant as can be. Let me just read it to you. A subtle aromatic with a natural, smooth, burly nuttiness and flavored black Cavendish taste, fruity plum notes are given a flavor push from a hint of Latakia. So it's an aromatic with a tiny bit of Latakia in it. A touch of liquor makes for a very pleasing top note, a harmonious blend that burns cool and slowly for full enjoyment. And I'm just having a ball. And of course, I'm having this in my Christmas pipe. I also got this from Old Carolina Pipe Cottage. This is a Savinelli 626. And I'm loving that stem. Love it. Two gold bands. In the middle, a white band. It can take a filter. I don't use the filter, but it's light. It feels beautiful. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? You just can't appreciate it on video, but the morning light dances not just off the colors, but into the actual stem. It's penetrating the surface, and you're getting this pearlescent reflection, which is just beautiful. So let me just load this up a little bit. No particular way of loading the pipe. I'd rather pack light and have a shorter session. Excuse me. 2 things I don't want to work hard at, and that is smoking a cigar. I don't want to work hard. I despise cigars that are rolled too tight. I don't like a tight draw. And I'm so over with, this is a beautiful cigar. My gosh. Jacqueline Baker sent this to me, this Papa Van Winkle Family Reserve barrel fermented cigars by Drew Estate. Jacqueline, thank you, dear. I mean, just magnificent. I've already had 2 of them, but these are just beautiful. So thank you, Jacqueline. I appreciate that. If you're watching this, and of course, the Jacqueline is the daughter of Joe Baker, who is one of the subscribers who just turned 80 and he's got the BMW sports car because he can, and it's great. And he grew a great beard. So I'm going to have to show you that picture. Long story short, I'm packing a bowl of Edward G. Robinson in a Savinelli 626. Packed it light. I've got half a cup of coffee here, Ethiopian, and I'm going to continue doing some reading in the Confessions of a Megachurch Pastor. I mix up my reading between biographies, sci-fi, 19th century sci-fi. I prefer 19th century sci-fi because it really is forward thinking. Like 20th century sci-fi, it's like a lot of the stuff already happened. But when I read 19th century stuff, what's fascinating is how it literally almost like predicts the future in a strange kind of way, you know? Let me fire this up. Let me just get the first lighting in. Let that burn down a little bit. Hey, speaking of cigars, have you ever used the draw poker that sends like a rod through, like you put the cigar in it and you send this rod through it? You know, in the past, if a cigar was rolled too tight and the draw wasn't good, you know, you'd kind of roll it in your hand a little bit to kind of loosen up the leaves, but a lot of times that messes up the outer layer. So this draw poker thing, does it work? Have you ever tried it? And should I get one, or is there a similar device? Because there are cigars that really do need that draft. They need that airflow a little bit more. And the concept sounds like it would work. This lighter is a Repro. This came as a gift from David from the Luxurious Bastard Beard Company. Beautiful. I love this thing. It's a soft flame. Flip up. Yeah. Edward G. Robinson blend in a Savinelli 626 Christmas pipe. Love it. Cup of coffee and a book. I'm in heaven. On a Sunday morning, giving thanks. The birds are chirping. Just giving thanks to the Lord. We've just like little reminders of what the Lord has given me. The bounty that I have. I'm not sitting in the lap of luxury. For me, right now, this is the lap of luxury, to be honest with you. I don't, I'm sitting out in a shed, a smoking shed, so to speak, because I don't smoke anything in the house. Never did, never will. One time I smoked a cigar in the house and it took me 2 weeks to get the smell out. You don't mind it while you're in it, but then, like, let's say like you go to work or something, or you're away for a day. When you come back in, the day-old smoke just smells gnarly to me. Now, I remember visiting a guy who was a presbyter in the PCA, Presbyterian Church in America. And I met with him at the time when I was thinking of being ordained with the PCA, which was a complete fantasy on my part because I wasn't a morally disciplined person at the time. It was wishful thinking. And I remember going to his study and talking with him, and he smoked a pipe. And this was, I don't know, I was maybe 26, 27 years old. And when I walked, and he was smoking an aromatic, it wasn't an English blend. And his study, I could smell the aromatic You ever see pictures of studies of like floor to ceiling books? He had a desk, and he was 3 walls were filled with books, and then he had 2 chairs in front of his desk. And this was in the days before anyone had computers. There was no. This guy had a fountain pen and a blotter and a bottle of ink. He had dip pens and this kind of stuff, and a typewriter. There was no computer. They were not popular at the time and just didn't come about. But I walked in, I will never forget the smell when I walked into his study. I could smell the aromatic pipe tobacco. That's what this reminds me of. Last time I checked at Old Carolina Pipe Cottage, they were sold out of the Edward G. Robinson blend. But I would check it out if I were you. And also, if I were to get another pipe, I would get a 673 KS Christmas pipe. So it would be the Christmas pipe version of this, which would just be magnificent. So this is such a perfect smoking. It's a workhorse. It's such a workhorse. Yeah, I'm excited about that. So maybe I'll get the Christmas pipe, the 673 Christmas pipe. I found my tamper. Remember I told you I lost my tamper? This is a Rattray tamper. Here's the interesting thing about the Rattray tamper. All right, you got your tamper on the end. What that's about? A little bit smaller than a dime, but I had this for a year before I realized this screws off and is a pick to clean out the pipe, stem, shaft, or whatever. Just it's an interesting pipe tool. I like it. But I had it for a year, and just one day I'm just like messing around with it. I'm like, oh, I'm thinking this little finial is loose. And I unscrewed it, and I'm like, well, son of a gun. It's got a little pick. I thought that was kind of cool. And I've used this to open up the draw of a cigar as well. I mean, I've taken this pick and have put it in a cigar to kind of loosen it up. But the problem with eyeing it is that you think you're going straight in, and if you pierce the outer part, if you pierce the wrapper, then you kind of like mess up the cigar, and the draw gets all goofy and stuff like that. So that's why I was asking about the draw poker, if you have one. And I only smoke a couple cigars a month. I mean, for the past few years, it was maybe one a month. So, but I do like cigars. So if you want to get this, the 626, it's light, it's beautiful. Just go to Old Carolina Pipe Cottage. And what a nice store he has. It's not like the pipe smoker mega store. And I like this guy, Alan Harrelson, a Southern gentleman, bringing back literally the gentlemanly art of pipe smoking. I like his channel, I like his temperament, and I like his attitude, his faith. He was a professor, and it just all makes sense. You know what I mean? It just kind of, he's guys that, let me put it this way, guys that sell pipes, guys who have a pipe business are purveyors of peace. Does that make sense to you? Because you're not interested in getting this nicotine hit. It's about relaxing. Oh, just honest to God, I was literally hating aromatics for a while, hating them. And then I watched a video last night that Alan put on, he put it on Instagram, of, he was smoking a tin of, it was like maple walnut something. And again, I bristle when I hear of aromatics. I mean, I have a couple aromatics. There's one called like Barbados Plantation or something. It's very rum, goopy, kind of. Some are just too sweet. What's that? What's the one tin that's really super sweet? You know the one I'm talking about? It's a Sutliff tin. The name will come to me. I do have a tin of it somewhere, and it's almost like I've had to let it stay open just to dry out. I don't know if I have it. I have the Barbados one here. If you remember the name of that, put it down below. The really super sweet one. And it always smokes better when you just like leave the top off for a week, you know. But this here is the perfect, it's just perfect. Perfect. And I guess at one time, this was an over-the-counter blend, just like a drugstore blend at one time, this Edward G. Robinson. Here's a picture of him smoking a pipe. You know, they got to ruin it with these labels on it. Oh, that just bothers me. I know in Europe, half of the label says "smoking kills." So I joke around, and you know, I used to say I'm going to go out in the shed and have a pipe of smoking kills. These are, you know, it's interesting. Someone said, like, the automotive, you know, the book, the manual that comes with a car. Back in like the 50s and 60s, they came with, actually, they taught you how to adjust the valves in the engine. But cars today, the manual says, don't drink the ingredients of the battery. Like, where the hell have we gone in society? You buy any electronic thing and there's a tag on it. You know, you buy a curling iron. Okay, I was in the hair industry for a long time. There's a tag on the curling irons that says, for external use only. Like, what happened to society where people were taking a curling iron and using it for internal use? Like, what? You know, when you open up a packet of something and there's a little packet of desiccant in there to keep things dry and keep the moisture out, do not eat. Oh, I'm really glad you told me that, because I was going to tear that open and eat it. Like, we've gotten stupider, like really dumb. The warnings on things just let me know that people have done a lot of stupid crap. Blows my mind. So I come out here on Sunday mornings and I fire up Orthodox incense, frankincense, and I'll have a pipe, and I listen to the birds and listen to the crickets, and I just have such a attitude of thankfulness, because I slowed down on my day of rest, and I'm thankful. Think about this. Is thankfulness a form of praise? I think it is. When was the last time, like, you know, there's a lot of the I love you guys say to their wives and girlfriends, I love you, I love you. I love you, oh, I love you too. You know, that kind of thing. What if you said to your woman, what if you laid off the I love you stuff and you said, I'm thankful for you? You want to freak her out? Tell her you're thankful for her. It's different. It'll be hard to get those words out of your mouth. Like, we might say that to each other as men. I'm really thankful for my wife. She puts up with me, or like whatever. Like, guys, you don't have to put yourself down. Like, she's a saint. You know, she puts up with me. Like these anniversary things. You know, we've been married 20 years. Boy, she put up with me for 20 years. What about you putting up with her? Okay, that door swings in both directions. So there's no need to have to put yourself down on anniversaries. Like, just lose that. Lose that. Okay? She doesn't like it when you put yourself down either. So let's get real. You're not a joke. Don't be the brunt of your own joke. You are not a walking, talking, living, breathing punchline. Man, you hear me? Sunday morning pipe. You know what this smells like? This smells like that there's a... It smells like there's a... Someone's baking cookies or something. There's like a sweet bread, but not goopy sweet, you know? It smells like there's something nice baking in the oven. That's what it reminds me of. I can't tell you how great this smells, honestly. You're going to have to check out that site and see if he has this stuff. You might be able to get it somewhere else, but check out his site first and see. I like supporting people that are just starting out. I think that's a wonderful thing to do. Plus the fact he wants to go from a virtual store to literally a brick and mortar pipe shop named Old Carolina Pipe Cottage. Oh, just magnificent. I got a bunch of walking sticks leaning. Every time I find a straight stick with interesting knots in it, I cut a length of it, whether it be on the side of the road or wherever. And I just love fantasizing about what I'm going to do with them. Like, here's a really long one. You've seen this before. I mean, I love this. This one's about 5.5 foot in length. And what I do is I just basically, I'm gonna knock stuff over here. I just cut off the end with a saw, like this. And then I will cut off the other end. And that's the beginning of the project. So the sticks that I have, the ends cut off, are probably going to be priority. And then this one here I really love, and I'm going to be sanding it down and carving it. I'm not sure if I'm going to carve it by hand or use a Dremel. I'm not sure. But I love this one because this part right here would be about the same height as like what a cane would be, like a cane. You know, like a bent cane. But for everyday walking, you'd go up a little bit higher on it. And it's just got some character in it. Being careful not to knock things over. I'm going to take the bark off. And it's got some nice knots in it that are just going to be pretty. And I'm not sure if I'm going to stain it or just put linseed oil on it. I don't know. Or carve a Gandalf face. You know, like one of those wood spirit faces in it, which is one of the things that I would love to do. I would love to create 3 walking sticks with those wood spirit Gandalf looking faces at the top of it. And of course the texture of the faces and the beard and the hair, the texture helps you grip it more. You know, it's almost like a textured grip that would discolor in time from the oils of the hand. And I would love to, I mean, just stuff like that. Leave, you know, when I leave this earth, each of my kids has a walking stick that I made. Something like that. Or, you know, like my boys. You know, will my boys want my pipes? Or should I end up giving all the pipes away before I die? You know? I mean, men die, and then the wives have no idea what to do with the pipes. I've seen that happen a lot. And of course now it's cooler. It's about 63 degrees, which it's just warm enough in the smoking shed here, the Van Gogh room, where I don't need a jacket or a sweatshirt on yet. This Edward G. Robinson blend smokes right down to a fine ash. It smokes right down. There's no waste at all. None whatsoever. It's just such a perfectly smoking. And this tin that I have of the 1Q, it smells okay. One of the things I learned about 1Q is you don't buy large quantities of it because it doesn't age, doesn't cellar well. In the future, I will buy no more than 2 ounces at a time. I think I bought 4 ounces of this, 4 or 6 ounces, and it smells nice. But it's not nearly. It loses the vanilla-ish vibe after a while, and then just gets kind of chemically tasting to me. Daybreak show starts Monday through Friday on Patreon. Monday through Thursday, daily. The Daybreak show will be daily on Patreon, but every Friday on YouTube, here on YouTube. Yeah. So the things that I brought over to Patreon are going to be Beards Without Borders and the Daybreak show on a regular basis. Yeah. And I hope to be, I have several streams of income and work part-time jobs, and have my social media work, which is also a job that I enjoy. I'm hoping to quit one of the part-time jobs and to be able to devote more time to social media. Yeah. Right now, what I do is I basically take my spare time and work my social media into that. Now, coaching, I do 3 days a week. Friday, I had 4 people. Yesterday, I had 1 person. And I enjoy about 4 a day. More than 4 or 5 would be too much. Because I give a lot. In the coaching. An awful lot. And it's not therapy. I don't do therapy anymore. Didn't do that for over 20 years. How pleasant. I'm just having a ball here. I really am. So here's your homework assignment. Tell your woman, your wife, your girlfriend, your LTR, that you are thankful for her. Say, I'm thankful for you. You're gonna blow her mind. You're gonna blow her mind. And that's not simping or that kind of weird stuff. How many times have I said the word appreciate in my lifetime? Literally, would say, I appreciate you. And it was only last year. Here I am in my damn 60s, and I just assumed that I knew what the word appreciate meant. Like you, right? When I looked up the word appreciate, it literally means to recognize the value of. So when you say you appreciate somebody, what you're really saying is, I recognize your value, which is awkward saying that. So I like saying things like, I appreciate you. Just want to let you know that I really appreciate you. And I will never forget, and this was, I guess it was in 2018, it was about 3 years ago, when Dick Vermeil, told me, he says, George, I appreciate you. And that meant a lot to me. I mean, he's one of the greatest NFL coaches of all time. And, of course, I don't know him as Coach Vermeil. I know him as my friend. And he said, I appreciate you. And I carry that proudly. Because here's a man with many great accomplishments saying to me, knowing what I know about the word appreciation. Dick Vermeil said to me, George, I recognize your value. And that meant a lot to me. And it put gas in my tank. I mentally refer back to that on occasion. Say that instead. Cheers, my friends.
But tonight we had Andy Kedison here, who played for me for the St. Louis Rams and the Kansas City Chiefs, and he's here as an intern coach with the Eagles, sharing our Michael's Way dinner tonight, charity dinner, and it's so much fun to just be with him again because he is one of those guys that's been part of my life.
What is one piece of advice and one bit of hope that you can give a young man who might not have a father, who might not have masculine guidance? What would you tell him?
Well, I think the first thing I would say is seek good examples. You can get advice from a lot of people, but examples last forever. They create memories. And if you can surround yourself with the right people, and when you recognize when you're not in the right environment or with the right people, you get out of there and move on. Seek people that can present a good example for what you might want to be, worthy of emulation somewhere down the road.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you.